you guys? Welcome to the Lion's Den. We're talking about a safe place for the wild ones. What do we do here? We tap into culture. We tune into spirit. And we see how it all combines and intertwines. You know what I'm saying? So I hope you're having a blessed day. I hope you've been walking righteously, creating purposefully. You know why? Because most power and blessings go to the Most High. You know what I'm saying? That's power and blessings to the Most High and those who walk in Him. You heard. Now that you received the word, let's get into today's content. You know what I'm saying, bro? So. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. Okay? It's a little bit different. Normally, we talk about something culturally relevant that we tap into, and we see how it all ties with what it means to be walking in the Spirit, what it means to be walking in faith. But today, I wanted to talk about something that I feel those who are walking with Yeshua, those who are walking with the intention of getting closer to God, they might want to tap into. So we're going to listen to some woman who had a near-death experience earlier this year. By earlier this year, I mean January 3rd. And what she described is something that I think is really important for all of those who believe in God to hear. Now, you can type in the comments below what you believe, if you believe it was real, if you don't, if you resonate with anything that she was saying. But I think with all the talk of the Matrix, with all the talk of new societies being developed, with all the talk of the acceleration of technology leading to virtual worlds, and are we going to end up in Mars, it might benefit us to get an understanding of the reality that we're living in and the directions that we could be going towards. So, let's get into today's content. You know what I'm saying? It's simple. Alright, y'all. Let me pull this John up. I thought I already had this John up, but I didn't have it. I'm pulling it up right now. Y'all, let me make sure I found. Hey, y'all.
What I do remember is what we now call a near-death experience. I first recall hearing a woman's voice to my left saying, I'm not getting a pulse. She was very agitated. And calmly, I thought, I turned to her and said, of course you're getting a pulse, otherwise we wouldn't be speaking. But she ignored me, and I kept trying to assure her, and it became more and more confused because I felt like my communication was absolutely normal. Because she was ignoring me, I finally thought, well, I'll ignore her. And that decision about letting go was key. I just simply thought, I'm out of here.
The important thing she said about letting go, even in present reality, you don't have to be having a near-death experience to understand the importance of letting go and allowing things to unfold naturally. It's important. And apparently, it's important in near-death experiences too. So let's see what she's talking about.
I had a thought process. I had emotional reactions to things. I remember being relieved at feeling warm. I remember feeling like I was waiting for an airplane or a bus or something that was coming on schedule for which I had a ticket. No stress, no anxiety, complete calm and assurance, and an awareness that, by golly, I'd never felt this good, ever. It was a correct experience. And before I could figure out who else I was with, because I did not feel alone, I just couldn't see anyone else, I also started goofing around with my vision. So I had sight, even though I didn't have eyeballs. Then a light kind of exploded underneath me with an energy that would be like an explosion, but without the pain or noise. I don't know how to, this is where I do fall down on language. I could turn my lack of a head, but nonetheless, but felt like a head, and perceive this light going out endlessly in all directions.
Already, this is why I kind of believe what she's saying, because certain experiences are beyond the realm of language. Obviously, language was created by man. And so certain experiences that are happening beyond the realm of what man can perceive or comprehend, we don't have language for. And then her saying her lack of a head, even though she felt like she had one, our senses are only going to allow us to communicate what we can perceive and understand. But we say that this is my hand, but without a hand, you're still you. This is my eye, but without an eye, you're still you. This is my head, but without a head, you're still you. So what is you? It's spirit. And when you come down to what could be happening in the near-death experience, I've never had one, but what could be happening is without your body, you're still you. You still perceive as you, but you don't have any of those things that you would have, like a hand or a body or a head. You don't have that vessel that you would carry yourself in. So very interesting, very interesting.
And yet at the same time, it was layering back on itself endlessly, and I had the knowledge that I was beholding eternity through this light, and that the spreading out of the light was linear, but the layering was dimensions, and that there was no time as we measure it on earth. This was endlessness. This was utter eternity, not only in how we mark time, but in dimensions. None of that really mattered. What mattered to me was the love that I felt from this light. It was immense. If I had been in flesh, I would have exploded. So because this love just penetrated everything about me. It was personal. It was intense, but fantastic, and communicated with me in a way that was also perfect, but it wasn't English. It was, upon reflection later, a combination of like math and music between it.
Math and music, science and feeling combined, a bridge. If there's a Venn diagram of math and music, combined in the center would be spirituality. That would be the meeting point. I feel if there's a way to combine feeling and science together, what we have here is an attempt of describing it as a spiritual experience. That's
and I got to ask questions that, later I thought were pretty profound, like, what's the meaning of life? Why are we born? The answers came back very simply. The meaning to life was to learn. Why are we born? It was love. That this life is school. And it wasn't like I was learning, though. It was like I was remembering. So my soul was eternal, and I was with eternal peace, with something that had created me, that was taking the form of a light. It's what I call God. Even that is lame.
I love that. I mean, we read in our text that we're talking about our king is called the King of Peace. The feeling that she said was the most important was love, which is what our God is. Over hundreds of different times, our God is described as love. So we're dealing with someone, or what she's dealing with is a God who is manifesting himself in the form of light, love, and peace. Three things that our God is truly described as in the text, in the Bible, and it's insane that she's seeing that, and then for her to say even calling him God is lame. I agree with that wholeheartedly, because that's not his name. We call him God, but again, that's a man-made word. When I believe it was Moses asked God who he was, he told him to say that I am the great I am. I am. He doesn't have a name. He's beyond that. We, in the book of Isaiah, we're described as gods. The gods roam the earth in darkness, stumbling, knowing not what they do. Jesus says, doesn't your own text refer to you guys as gods? God is more than a judge. And so what we have here is a God who is beyond our comprehension of explaining through words, not just some man in the sky, but also someone who can manifest himself as pure light, as a pillar of fire. He can manifest himself as anything and anyone because he is infinite. He is eternal. There is no end to his limit or his power. This is, a lot of times we like to cap God in our reality of what he's capable of doing. Oh, well, that doesn't make sense. Why would God do this? Why would God do this? The real question we should be asking is, why wouldn't he do this? If we're talking about a God who loves his creation so much, why wouldn't he use anything at his disposal to get us to recognize who we are and remember, as she said, who we are in him? Crazy. I'm telling you.
There's nothing to call this thing that we call God. As I really want to help people who are suffering, and I'm deeply committed to it. I was witnessing everything. There was no beginning and end. It was beyond creation. But this was my creator, what eternity means. But it's very important. That I know. There was like nothing in all of existence but this light and myself. But even the light, I think, was a representation of God, a concept that even near death I wasn't ready to experience. I don't know why I think that, I just do. I think calling the light God would be like looking up at my ceiling at, the lights and going, oh, that's the light, but that would discount everything that brought that light into where I'm sitting right now.
Super important. Whoever this woman is, she is nailing this. What she essentially just said was that even though she saw and knew that this was her creator and this was God, a part of her knew that she couldn't see it in its fullness or its essence, because even near death, she wouldn't be able to comprehend or handle the full sight or image of him. Crazy, because everything we read in our text says that in order to be one with the Father, we have to go through the same suffering as Christ did and enter through the doors of death as Christ did. Now, she was near death. She was near the door, but she hadn't entered all the way through. And near it, she was able to, the veil of the world was torn down so that she was able to see in part, but not in fullness. Fullness, like what Paul said, those prophets who prophesy only prophesy in part. Those who speak in tongues only speak in tongue in part. We see ourselves now dimly in a mirror, but soon we will see ourselves in fullness. It's it's wild that people actually have these experiences. Let's keep it going.
The why. It's complicated, and so is God, and yet so very simple, because it's about love. End of story.
That was great. That was phenomenal. I've had profound and deep meditations where, while I was in college, going through figuring out who I was, where everything became light after 30 minutes into a meditation, and I saw the Creator and I saw Yeshua with me, and he described that his essence was in everything, and that it was in me too, that I could release doubt and that I could live in the present, and that what was happening, if I wasn't paying attention to the present, I was missing out on what was important, because God didn't exist in the past or in the future, but he exists now. He exists with us right now. And today, in my life, the number one concept that's been on my mind is understanding that we are in a womb being birthed, that we are headed somewhere. Let me break it down for you like this, basically. If a baby had consciousness while he was in the womb, all he would think of his world is that it was wet and warm and dark. He may not even be able to perceive or understand the use of why he has hands or feet or legs or eyes, because he's not able to use those things yet. He doesn't know what he's used for. And if someone tried to explain to that baby that, well, there's a world of stars and trees and there's grass and all these things, the baby's not really inclined to believe that person, one. But two, he's not even really able to comprehend what's happening. Now, consciousness is one thing, but understanding is where the beauty comes in, because I believe that you can only receive understanding through relationship with the Creator. I believe he provides wisdom and understanding for those who are seeking it. It says that in the text. It's his pleasure. And so, now imagine you're a baby with consciousness and understanding that the hands that you have are going to be used for a whole new world. That the feet that you have are going to be used for a whole new world. You'd be ready to come out of the womb at that point. You'd be wanting to come out of the womb at that point. So let's place that in reality of us, where we are right now. We have a soul inside of us that longs for some kind of moral right and wrong, longs for some kind of moral perfection in the world, even though nothing in the world says that anything should be fair. Something inside of us from birth, we have a heart that longs for love in a world that's without love, longs for justice in a world that continues to show us there's no justice, longs for eternity where we see that everything dies. We're chasing after these things that inside of us seem like we should have, but nothing around us has ever told us that that's the case. Something deeper tells us that. Something has been placed inside of us before we were even put here on this plane of existence. And why? Because we are in a womb. It's like C.S. Lewis said, the once atheist turned into a Christian, said that it's like we're all statues with the promise that we're coming to life one day soon. You know, we're created with the hope and promise that one day we'll be one with the Creator in full understanding. It's a really beautiful sentiment, and it provides a lot of hope in understanding the Creator doing everything in His power, including sending His only Son to come down to this earth to allow us to become one with Him. That's where hope really comes from in my personal life, and it's what reminds me that the message here is love. Like she was saying, the message here is to see that everyone is on their individual journeys growing, and not all of us are aware or conscious that we're in a womb. Not all of us are aware or remember who we were before this life, that the Creator knows us and planned for us and covered us. Not all of us remember this, but it's important to remember that. And it's important to remember that we're not shackled and chained by men and women in this world who saw fit to take advantage of us. And that the men and women who bought into that, they've received their reward in full. If all they cared about was the riches of this earth, then that's what they got, you know? But for those of us who are seeking something deeper, a meaningful relationship with the Creator, so that we are always free here and that we are always free here, so that we can begin living here and all around us, even though we haven't even been birthed yet, that's what matters. Holding on to this present moment, realizing that we can live here and now, that we have the choice, because although we are in the womb, the Creator has gifted us with consciousness and understanding of His will for us and His purpose for our lives. I ain't mean to start preaching on y'all, but I'm telling you, this is some serious stuff. This is deep. And with all the talk of the Matrix and the new Matrix movies and whatnot, you already know, you got to understand that this Matrix reality, a lot of spiritual people believe we're in the Matrix and we're about to move to 5D and all these different things. Listen, there's probably a lot of different language to describe what's happening in a spiritual realm on earth right now, the changes that are happening, the children rising right now inside of understanding and consciousness. The real point of it all is that God is seeking to raise His kids who are seeking relationship with Him, and He is providing understanding to those who choose Him and don't choose the things of this world. It's a really beautiful sentiment, and it provides a lot of hope that there is something more beyond here. And while that may be hard for you to understand, don't fret. Because it would be hard for a baby to understand that there's a world beyond where he was in the womb for 9 months. I hope that's enough. I love you guys. You know what I'm saying. I hope you have a blessed day. Yeah, but next time you see me, we're going to talk about something. I don't even know what we're going to talk about. You know, some of these suggestions. I don't know what we're going to talk about, but I'm excited to be alive. I'm excited to be living. I'm excited to be pouring into y'all, and I'm excited for y'all to be pouring into me. All right? Pour into me. Pour into me. I love you guys. Have a blessed day. You know what I'm saying?